Awesome. Thank you so much, Nan. And thank you to all of you for joining us for the 2022 Reflections Workshop, The Art of Student Expression. So you're probably wondering, what is reflection? So let's learn all about it. Okay. So the Reflections Art Programs provides opportunities for recognition and access to the arts, which boosts student confidence and success in the arts and in life. Each year, over 300,000 students in pre-K through grade 12 create original works of art in response to a student-selected theme. This 50-plus-year-old program helps them explore their own thoughts, feelings, and ideas, develop artistic literacy, increase confidence, and find a love for learning that will help them become more successful in school and in life. So let's move on and see what else we have to learn about reflection. So why is it important to participate in the Reflections Art Program? Well, the Reflections Art Program encourages students of all ages to unleash creative talents and be inspired, express themselves imaginatively in their artwork, experience the fun and joy of making art, tap into critical thinking skills, to create art inspired by the annual theme, and receive positive recognition for their own original works of art. So it's all sounding great, right? So who can participate? All students attending PTA schools sponsoring the program are invited to participate and submit original artwork in one of 6 areas: dance choreography, literature, photography, film production, music composition, visual arts. And then we also have special artists that may be in any grade and are judged as if they are the same grade level. So now that we know who can participate, who can't participate? Wah, wah, wah. Local PTAs that are not in good standing with CAPTA, submissions that are prepared by more than one student, submissions that are prepared by someone other than the student, submissions that are entered in the wrong category, and submissions that are entered in the wrong division. So all of this sounds great. What is the submission process? Well, artworks are submitted first to the school level PTAs, where they are first recognized, celebrated, and judged by 5 grade level divisions, while a non-judge special artist division celebrates student artists with special needs. The school PTAs then choose a selection of entries to be judged by local PTA units, which then sent on to the councils and then to district for consideration. The final artworks, and that was supposed to be artworks, not artworks, submitted to California State PTA by districts are then considered for outstanding interpretation, awards of excellence, or awards of merit. Outstanding interpretation and awards of excellence entries then go on to represent California in the final national PTA judging round. So all of this sounds awesome, right? So what is the theme for the 2022-2023 year? Well, as you can see, it's Show Your Voice. The annual themes are determined by the National PTA Reflections Theme Search Contest. This year's theme was selected 2 years ago. So our theme is Show Your Voice, which was submitted by Jason Yevon from Salk MacArthur PTSA in New York. So all of this sounds wonderful, so let's find out a little bit more.
Sorry, give me 1 second. I think I needed to make sure I was sharing my, sharing my sound, because I don't know if you guys can hear the sound. So I just want to make sure that that's, there you go. Boom, and one more little blip. I just want to make sure I can optimize it and you guys can see it without it looking horrible. All right, let's
no worries.
We'll go for this again. And going. If somebody can flag me down and let me know if it isn't playing, that would be great.
We're good. Awesome. So now that we've learned an overview of what reflections is all about, do we have any questions before we move on to writing a successful program? So you can put them in the chat. Okay, so I say, is this video available for use in school's Instagram? If so, where can we download? Okay, so the video is actually on the National PTA's website for reflections. You'll see it in a side panel. You'll see the information about the theme for the 2022-2023 school year. And then just below that, you'll see the video. Any other questions?
Tanya, that would be at the pta.org/reflections website, right?
That is correct. Thank you for clarifying.
No, I was like, oh, and I know the California State PTA also has a page where they create their own material as well. So between those two, you might find lots of good shareable stuff.
Absolutely.
And
all
in
the
different
work pretty much
languages
done
as
for you.
well. Yep, I think they also produce stuff in different languages. So we want to make sure that students and their families understand, you know, the rules and all of the different facets.
Okay, and they're asking to share the link in the chat. So let me see if I can get that in there for you. My keyboard is. Okay, there. And I may have the wrong. Hopefully this is coming through correctly. Okay, there we go. Any other questions? Or we'll continue on and learn how to run a successful program. Okay, so how do I get started? So you want to propose your program to your school. You want to ask your PTA board, create a budget, ask the principal for permission and administrative support, and get teacher involvement by working the theme into the classroom curriculum. So registration is optional, but encouraged. And you can visit pta.org/reflections and then scroll down to register here. So let's see what else we can do to have a successful program. How do I organize or plan an effective program? So you want to refer to the PTA leaders checklist, which is customizable. You can recruit a committee and volunteers. You want to recruit community arts professionals as volunteers or reviewers. And also read the local leaders guide. And if you look at the CAPTA website, they tell you to read it twice. That's how important it is. So let's move on. So is there a timeline I need to follow? So these are the suggested due dates. And you will also see that there is one fixed date. So let's review them. So we have the student to local PTA unit due date, which is suggested of October 15th, 2022. The local PTA unit to council due date, which is November 1st. And then we have council out of council units to districts, which is December 1st. And then district to state due date, and this is the only fixed date, which is January 11th, 2023. So plan for 2 to 3 weeks before the due dates for reviewing for each group to send to your council or district. So looking good so far. So any questions about timeline, setting up a proper program? I think we did have a few things pop up in the chat. Let's see, is it preferred that students submit through a digital platform or in person? So I knew this was going to come up. My assumption is that with district and state submissions, we will be continuing to do digital format, but it's really up to the school site and the council whether or not you want to do the digital format. Obviously, it would be easier for you to already have it in the digital format since you're going to be submitting it to district in that way. But if you prefer to have those items in person, it's completely up to you. You'll just have to convert it into digital format on your own. Just FYI, October 15th is a Saturday. Yes, I am aware. That's the due date though. So maybe it was an oversight on the part of CAPTA, but that information is pulled from the CAPTA website for reflections. Where do we find customizable checklists? All of that stuff can be found at the capta.org/reflections website. Those items will be under all of the information on reflections. You have your leader's guide, your checklist, all that stuff will be there. What is an estimated budget for local units? Sorry if I missed that. Well, we didn't talk about that. Does each school unit give a participation certificate or a prize? Okay, so the budget is really up to how much you want to spend on reflections. So that's something that you would have to discuss with your board to determine what you want to spend on reflections. And as far as participation certificates and prizes, once again, that's up to your board. If you decide that you want to give everyone a participation certificate or a prize, those items can be purchased through the capta.org website, and you can utilize those. If you just want to have a nice little celebration for the students and not give out any sort of prizes or certificates, it's really customizable to what you want to do at your local unit. You take pictures of actual art and upload. Is that digital format? Yes, that is correct. So you're taking pictures of the visual arts, you're uploading the photographs, they're doing photography. You provide the actual sheet music for music composition, and also the music file for that. Same thing with the movies. So all of these things are uploaded, and then the artist statement is uploaded with that as well. And everything's done through Google Forms. And those are provided to you through district. And then we also have another training that we do, a training video that's available to you that shows you how to do that process. I think that was the last question. Any other questions before I move on?
Hey, Tanya, this is Danette. I just wanted to do 2 quick points of clarification. So one, or not clarification, like one suggestion for the person who was asking about budgets. Also look to like your last year's budget. We don't want to be in that, or past couple of years, I guess, maybe the last good year was 2019. But asking your team, for old budgets if they have them. I'm not advocating for doing what you've always done. I really think like this is an opportunity to break out and do something very cool. But if you're just looking for, an idea of what's been done in the past, and Tanya brings up a great point that California State PTA does have really nice, actually little certificates, medals, awards that you can order. So if you know how many folks, if you're a K through 5 elementary or K through 6, you'll have to do the math on how many, awards or recognitions you'll want to recognize, and then multiply that times the number of certificates and ribbons, that you wanted to do. I've known of schools that have done like cute little art prizes to the students who came in, were selected as the winners in their groups. So it really is kind of sky's the limit. And I've also known of schools that have decided to do like an art walk or an art night. If you have a school that participates in historically in very big numbers, like hundreds of students, that might be a beautiful way of showcasing, the art that your students created and allowing the families to kind of take part in that. So it really, but if you have a school where maybe the turnout is a bit low, then maybe that's, maybe it's a modified version of that. So those are kind of considerations that you kind of get that are historic for your own unit. And then speaking of unit, I just wanted to kind of jump in with this because I always forget. When I was new to PTA, I had zero idea about what a unit was. That is basically your school PTA. So elementary, middle school, high school, that sort of thing. And then council, for those of you who maybe are less familiar, councils, for those of you who have them, are kind of like your school district level PTA leadership group that supports all of the schools in your school district that have PTAs. So for instance, I come from Torrance, Tanya's from Compton. We each have councils, and then our councils are kind of meant to be like the big brother or sister to the, you guys at the school level. And then when we say district here, what we're meaning is the 33rd District PTA, which is a large leadership group that we're a part of as well, in delivering this training today. But that PTA group serves all of the councils in like our chunk of Southern California, which is like 300 schools represented in something like 26 different school districts. So I just felt like it was important to let you guys know that, for those of you who are really green and you're like, what is this? That's kind of the flow. So you guys are at the school level, and then you have usually a council. If you don't have a council, the 33rd district kind of serves as your leadership team that supports you, and that would make you out of council. So anyhow, sorry, Tanya, I just wanted to make sure I got that.
This is all good.
I'm like, oh no. And if I totally botched that up, if you guys think that's like still like, what is she even talking about? Please do feel free to add it in the chat, and I'm happy to have a separate sidebar with you on it, So okay, I'm shutting up now, for reals.
No, it's okay. That was all needed. I think we had one more question come up in the chat. How do we get the how to submit digitally video? Okay, that can actually be sent to you. So Cindy Shields, I will send that to you. Okay. I think I have your email address, but just in case, if I don't, can you put it into the chat and I'll make sure I send it to you.
Thank you, Tanya. You are a doll. Thank you, Nan, for doing this. We love and appreciate you very much.
Thank you. Thank you.
I'm sending you a heart back.
No, I appreciate it. So yeah, anybody who needs the video, put your information in the chat, and I'll make sure that I send those out to you guys. So it is from the previous year, but it's still valid. Okay, so now submission process. Here we go. This is the meat and potatoes, ladies and gentlemen. Hold on to your seats. Okay, so what are the arts categories? So eligible students can submit original artwork in one of the 6 areas, which we've already discussed before, which is dance choreography, literature, photography, film production, music composition, and visual arts. And then once again, we have the special artists that can be in any grade level, and then they're all judged together as if they're the same grade level. So now we have to talk about art divisions. So students participate in the appropriate division for their grade. Primary is for pre-K to grade 2. Intermediate is grades 3 to 5. Middle school is grades 6 to 8. And high school is grades 9 to 12. Special artists, all grades are welcome. Students who identify as having a disability and may receive services from IDEA or ADA, Section 504, may enter in as a special artist division or a grade division most closely aligned to their functional abilities. And now let's see what else we have going on with submissions. How do we enter? This is where it starts to get good. So entrants must submit their artwork and student entry form to their local PTA or PTSA program according to local and state PTA procedures. They must follow the requirements and instructions specific to each art category and division, and contact your local PTA programs for deadlines and additional information. So obviously with the deadlines, those things were suggested. So if you find that students may need a little bit more time, you want to move up your deadlines, you can do that too. So let's see, we got a very large paragraph about entry requirements. Read it quietly to yourselves. No, I'm kidding. Okay, so all participants must also follow art category and division rules, and those can be found on the actual entrance forms that you can find on the CAPTA website. So only new pieces of artwork inspired by the theme may be submitted. So if you have a student who is doing artwork for just for class and it's this year and they have no idea what the theme is, they can't submit something that might be closely related to the theme in the following year. So it needs to be new artwork that's specifically for that program. So each entry must be the original artwork of one student only. An adult may not alter the creative integrity of the student's work. Because the program is designed to encourage and recognize each student's individual creativity, help from an adult or collaboration with another student is not allowed except in the special artist division. Only one student may be recognized, and I'm losing track of where I am, as the award recipient at each entry. Other individuals may appear in or perform a student's work, but the work itself must be the creative product of one student only. So see the specific art category rules for details. Each entry must contain a title, and all entries must include an artist statement, and that is very important. The artist statement communicates what inspired the work, how it relates to the theme, and the content of the work. The statement must include a minimum of 10 words, but may not exceed 100. We're not writing an essay or a novella, we're just writing a short statement. So use of copyrighted material is prohibited except in the recorded music, in a dance choreography, and film production entries. So we cannot be using copyrighted materials, for example, if you're doing music composition and things like that. So all that needs to be original work. Plagiarized entries will be disqualified. Use of PowerPoint presentations are prohibited because most graphic elements are copyrighted. So let's see where we can find the art categories and division rules. So more information about these things can be found on the student forums, and they can be found here. And I realize that you cannot click that, so we'll make sure that I put that into the chat as well. So it's capita.org/resources/participant forms. Okay. So now, do we have guidelines that we should follow? Absolutely. Student entry forms must be filled out completely, have a title, and require an artist statement. That's that very important statement that can be a minimum of 10 and no more than 100 words. So students may submit entries in more than one art category and more than one entry in a single art category, but this is up to the school. So you guys have a lot of autonomy of how you want to run your program. If you just want students to be in one category and that's it, then that's how you run your program. So it's really up to you. Everything's flexible. Artwork must be original and created for the purpose of this program and the current year's theme. So for example, if you have a student who prepared something for the current theme, which was I will change the world by, and did not submit it, and then decided that instead they want to use it for the upcoming year for Show Your Voice, that would be something that would have to be disqualified. Only one student, and I don't know why that says Amy, may create the work and be recognized as the award recipient, but other students may appear in the artwork itself. General participation, specific art categories, special artist division guidelines must be followed, and students should use the artist statement to express how their submission relates to the theme. Okay, so now that we've gone through the submission process, do we have any other questions, which I hope that I can answer for you? I'm seeing a lot. Okay, so this is for the asking about, okay, so can we put that how to submit digitally video on the website? I will have to ask because it's coming from a different a different PTA district. And I believe it's a different district, or was it a council? I got it from David Lee, so I'm assuming that it's okay because they're using it on their YouTube. So I'll ask before I say yes, because then they'll come after me. All right, any other questions? Okay. All right, so submission process. Everyone's feeling good about that. Fantastic. I would think that would be the hardest thing. Okay, great. So let's go into judging and awards. So how do I organize artwork for reviewing? So you check your entries, you review artwork and entry forms for qualification. You sort by category and age division, you prepare your scorecards, and you assign entries to reviewers. And the reviewing rubric is available also on the CAPTA website. You have to kind of dig for it. So I'll see if I can extract that and send that along with the video as well. So now let's see. So it all seems pretty easy, right? So how are the entries reviewed? Chairs should not be a reviewer. So if you are the reflections chair, have a seat in your chair and don't review anything. Blind judging is required. The reviewer should focus on a well-developed concept rather than technique, how the student uses artistic vision to portray the theme, and judges must see the artist's statement to make their decision. Okay. So what else do we have here for judging and awards? So fantastic. What awards are available? So you have the option of giving out an award of excellence, which is first place, and that's the very best entries. They fulfill all three criteria and they advance to the next judging levels. So for example, at the school level, your unit level, your first place entries are the ones that get sent on to your council. Those first place entries are the ones that get taken up to district level, 33rd district. And then our first place are the ones that go to California State PTA. First place at California State PTA goes to National PTA, okay? But don't worry, everyone gets a little something. So you have an award of merit, which is second place, honorable mention, which is third place, and there's also participation awards. So everyone gets recognized. So you want to make sure that you want to recognize all of your students for their efforts and creation. And of course, that can be, you can purchase those items if you so choose from the capta.org website. Okay, so let's move on and see how we celebrate and recognize all participants. So you want to double check spelling of names. You want to plan a reflection celebration event, and that can look however you decide that you want to do it. And of course, it has to fit into your budget. Share the event with media and all families at your school, not just the participants. Why? Because this is a family engagement program. We're trying to be able to contact and be connected with everyone at the school, and art is the best way to do it. So you want to present certificates of participation, other awards, and once again, available at the PTA store. So now we've celebrated everyone, we've recognized everyone. All right, so now you're talking how many awards may be given out. So the number of awards is decided by your PTA. It's your decision. Once again, it goes back to what you decide to do when you're organizing your program, when you have your budget meeting, and when you decide about your celebration. So if you want to give out an award to everybody, you know, just go complete Oprah Winfrey, you get an award, you get an award. Go ahead and do it. It's all up to you. Typically, only the top scored piece from each art category and age division advances to the, wow, this is why you need to spell check. Next level, not nest level, not nest level, your council district, and then you check with them to verify. Okay, so that's when you ask our chair for reflections what the the age and art categories are. We verify that for you. Okay, so let's move on. How do I prepare entries for the next level? So check all paperwork carefully. Check that entry forms are complete and legible. And you want to check that the entries have a title and the artist statement. This is very important because without the title and without the artist statement, they will be disqualified. So those things need to be included when they go on to the next level. So you want to make sure that you have copies of everything and were the entries carefully handled. You don't want to mess anything up. And then an artist portfolio is strongly recommended for transport. And that's if you're doing things in person. So with that digital submission, you don't really have to do that. Just take those pictures and upload, and everything gets taken care of by Google Forms for you. Okay. So let's see. Let's bring this home. So how do you wrap up and evaluate? So you want to submit your local PTA unit participation form with advancing art to your council or your district. You want to send thank you notes to the school staff, your community partners, your PTA volunteers, and judges. You want to finish your program evaluation so you can determine what went well, what didn't go well, and how you want to change things for the next year. And you want to return all non-advancing work to the artist. You're not keeping it. You have to give it back no matter how pretty it is. You create notes and information for the next committee members because that is always helpful. So I believe that we've come to the end of this section, but yes, that is true. Okay, so any questions about judging and awards before we move on? Okay.
I think one thing I remember when I was, again, very new at PTA, I kind of wasn't sure, like, where do you find the judges? You know, who can be a judge? I know that over the years, I've seen a variety of different ways to like collect judges. Some units, I think, may wait to see if they have any entries, and like some schools are very heavy in like the graphic arts and writing, because those are the things that students have like access to regardless of, you know, socioeconomic, you know, and whereas like some students maybe do like the music composition, and you may have a few of those entries or a lot of those entries. But anyhow, so I say that to say that sometimes I think units wait, but I don't know if that's a good advice. Wait to find judges for the categories that they have, or should they line up judges in advance? And maybe that's like the art teacher plus like people that they know who are in the arts. Like, what can you give any guidance maybe on like judges, like who should be, and maybe what's a good timing for like starting to reach out so you're not doing it last minute?
Yeah. Well, for me, I go with my little saying, P to the fifth power, which is proper preparation prevents poor performance. So I believe that you should start maybe with your judges and have those things lined up, even if you haven't asked them or solidified when you're going to do that. It's good to start and start thinking about who you want to have as judges. I know for me, the first time I did reflections, we had an actual school artist that came in to do all of the artwork throughout the school. So I talked to him about the program because he saw the posters, and he said, me and my team can judge for you. And I said, fantastic. I didn't even have to ask him. So that was kind of an organic ask, if you will, for judges, those who come in to review. I know that some people like to include members of the community. So you may want to ask like your school board, you might want to ask your elected officials to participate and make it a big what to do, you know, in your town. So the sky is the limit. You know,
Yeah.
you can really contact anybody. And I think the more that you connect with the community, engage with the community, and include everybody, then that will also help your PTA, because then they're getting involved with reflections as a way to get them involved in everything else. So
no,
yeah.
that is good. I think that's good advice. I think too, like I know some units may have more artists, in their community, and maybe they reach out. I've known of folks to use like English teachers and maybe the local, special ed teacher or something like that. So I think that helps to know that we can broaden. To that end, one of our participants asked, how do you deal with the parent being a judge if their student has submitted work? So I've got an idea or two, but I'm not an expert here. So
I mean, I'm not really an expert either, but I would say it's probably not a good idea, because if the student has submitted in the art category and division that you're judging, you would have to excuse yourself. Now, if the parent wants to participate and if the student hasn't submitted something in that area, so in that category, for example, if the student submits in music composition and they're, in high school, then the parent should judge, still music composition, but maybe at primary or, a different division or a different category altogether. You don't want to tell someone not to participate, because once again, this is all about family engagement. You want people to participate, but find a new way to do it so that there's no bias going into that judging. You want it to be fair.
Yeah, I agree. You probably don't want anything smacking of, cronyism or whatever, or favoritism. It's like, oh, we're doing this for the kids. I figure like most parents and family and guardians would understand that as well. And because it's blind, I'm sure everyone here probably knows, but I guess for the sake of argument, it basically means that you never know who the student is. You can see their artist statement and nothing that identifies who they are. So that in a community where maybe it's small and very tight knit, people may know your child through, a sport or other extracurricular activities. So again, that kind of removes the bias. Although I see everything my kids did when they were small, so I can tell you I would have been able to spot their artwork. So yes. Probably again, another reason why you want a parent or a guardian to kind of step aside and choose something not related. I'll also say, I don't know how helpful this is or not. Again, it's been a while. I've been a judge a couple of times in recent years, but so everybody gets a rubric. There is a rubric that Reflections provides, right?
Yes.
Where it kind of goes through the criteria. So you don't have to make it up. So I think that's one very cool thing. Like you could even share that with your judges and say, like, this is what we're basically doing. But the other thing I did when I was doing it, because we're all kind of virtual right now, and I feel like everyone's gotten a lot better at this. One option is to put that rubric like as a Google spreadsheet and then have your judges participate. If that's something you're comfortable with, you may want to, if that's not like really your forte, don't sweat it. But I do think what's really nice about having all of the judges' comments and like their scores, like 1 out of 10 or whatever, your kind of rubric says, if you have those numbers all kind of lined up, what's really great is you can later on do like a sort for the numbers or an average, and be able to kind of like pull it together like virtually without having to tally up all of the separate, documents. Again, that's neither here nor there, but just, again, it kind of illustrates how, depending on your comfort level, your familiarity with some of the technology, like you could really, go take it to a whole new level if you wanted to. And yeah, that was just my thought while I was here. And again, there is a rubric, so I think we can share it. And, Tanya, I would say too, we probably can get everyone's email addresses and probably just push it out. You guys will also see, whether you want to or not, content here about this stuff. So reminders about due dates coming up, forms, and the forms are actually pretty helpful. They lay out the rules very succinctly.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. So yeah, anything that you guys would like to receive information about, definitely let us know in the chat. And I might even talk with Gerard to see if we can just create a folder, a Google Drive for reflection stuff, and I can just drop things in there and give everybody the link. So we'll see if that's easier. than sending everybody emails. Because I do have more information about how you can include the new arts framework that came out from the state into reflections. I have all that information for you. And then also there's information from the Los Angeles Arts Initiative.
Mm-hmm.
I'll look up the name, but yeah, they have all these things about how you can help with art and address social emotional learning and things like that. So, you know, you can wrap all these things up into reflections and really make it an awesome program for next year. So if I can put together a Google Drive and drop all those things in there, then you'll have access to it and use it anytime you need. Okay, any other questions before I move on? Because we are almost done. Okay, so 33rd District PTA Reflections Committee Chair and members. The search is on. Are you interested in serving on the 33rd District PTA Reflections Committee? Fantastic. So we need a committee chair and we need committee members. And if I dream the impossible dream, it would be fantastic if we had members from every council. Like that would just be wonderful. Imagine everybody working together. It's like a little 33rd District PTA in our reflections committee. And I think that would be great to have the perspective from all of our councils. So just a thought, think about it. Be a possible dream, hopefully not. But we do need a committee chair. Maria Lara, she's termed out. So she's ending her term this year. So we'll need to have someone else to step up and be our committee chair, and always looking for committee members. So if you're interested, please enter your name and contact information in the chat, and we will be in contact.
And Tanya, a quick note on that too, or I guess, yeah, quick note on that. Would it be helpful for our folks here to know kind of what the committee chair and committee at the 33rd district level do? Because I know, I will tell you, the elementary, I remember that very well. And that was a big thing. And I feel like everything I've done at 33rd district and even at council feels like less nuts than elementary's PTA school planning. It's like taking the entries that come into us from the councils, right? Which is like dozens, not hundreds.
Mm-hmm.
Is that right?
Yeah, so as the committee chair and committee members, you'd be responsible for navigating that entire submission process. You're making sure that you're bringing the information from CAPTA down to the councils so they know obviously what the due dates are, making sure that forms are provided, you know, other information that is submitted, like the video that people are interested in, and just fielding any questions that people may have about the program. Probably the most strenuous work you're going to be doing is preparing those submissions to district for judging. And you would be doing that with your committee members, finding your reviewers, things like that. So that's why I feel like if you have someone from every council, then you have a diverse set of eyes that are able to review the work and all work together in synergy. So, but yeah, you're the most work that you're going to be doing is that submission process from district to CAPTA, and then reporting everything back down the chain. So you report up, you report down. But it's definitely not as crazy as it would be at the, or even at the council level. So by the time it gets to district, yeah, by the time it gets to us, it's in digital form. So it's a lot easier to handle because it's just going to that Google form, going to the Google spreadsheet that's created from the Google form. And you have your reviews, you pick your winners, and then you make sure you inform everybody that the winners have been chosen and who's going to be representing 33rd District PTA at state.
Yeah, we also have a reflections tee, or used to when we were still live. I guess that's still TBD, right? But
yeah, to be determined. The hope is to do something really fun, and I'm Gerard and I are kind of coming up with something. We're putting our heads together to do
Oh,
something
Gerard.
exciting.
Yeah, and in
So
case
just
you guys,
stay on
right,
the edge of your seat.
in case you guys are wondering, Gerard, who you keep hearing, is our director of communications at 33rd District. So some pretty awesome people.
Yes, absolutely. Okay, so let's see if we have any questions. We have come to the actual questions and suggestions part. But let me see. That would be great. I would love a copy of whatever you have in terms of the book. Okay, so I can definitely send that. Because there is a job description that you can find on CAPTA's website for reflections. I think we have, a shorter version at the district level as well. So I can send that to, or put that into this Google Drive that I'm saying will be created. I'm putting it out there. It's gonna happen. When, I'm not sure, but I'm gonna make sure it happens, so that all this information can be in one spot, and you're not having to search back for an email that I sent to you, 3 months down the line, when you're ready to start reflections in the next year. Like, you want to be able to get to that info. So yeah, we can send that. So any other questions? I know that we kind of went through a lot of information. And if you don't have, real specific questions right now, that's fine. We'll be doing another workshop, I believe in August or sometime at the beginning of the year, just so that everyone is set for the upcoming school year and know how to put things on. The hope is to have people come in, our little reflection superstars, to come in and share information about how they run their programs and what works, what doesn't work, and how to find judges, things like that. So that'll get you set up for the upcoming year. But you may just have suggestions, and that's really what I want to hear, because we had a few we had a couple problems, not too bad, or miscommunications this year with the transition. So if anyone has any suggestions or concerns from this year's reflections, you can feel free to put those in the chat, or just suggestions like what can make reflections more fun, how can we make it more easy? Yeah, any information would be great, because this is by far one of the best programs that I've seen evidence in what it can do for the students. And I'll share a little story, since I'm not seeing any questions, but I'll share a little story about how art is so good for students. So when the COVID lockdown started, my youngest son, Jonathan, who is oftentimes on our meetings with a halo, with a halo filter on, he stopped talking. He stopped talking completely. And during that summer, what I did, I gave him paint paper and let him work out. And then he would tell me about his artwork. And that was the most he had talked in about 2 or 3 months. So that's what art can do. That's why I'm so energized and excited about this program. I want to see it thrive, and I want to see it continue to grow and get better. So if there's any suggestions that you guys have, yeah, let me know. Let's make it happen.
I think too, it's tough because I know for a lot of us as volunteers, and we wear a lot of hats. I don't think I know one PTA person who isn't also a coach, a team parent, a room parent, like you name it, we're probably doing it. But taking the time, a weekend or two now, just to maybe think through your plan, all the questions you have, reviewing the content on the California State PTA site. Again, that's capta.org, and you can just use the search bar for reflections. There really is a lot of good content. Or even, again, National PTA's website, pta.org/reflections, and just kind of getting familiar and wrapping your head around it. I think that, any one of these trainings, one and done, isn't nearly enough. This is sort of like a jump into reflections, but there is other content. There are other trainings. There is other material. And I think the more familiar you become with it, the more you can start seeing like its potential. Again, and if you start the planning now saying, these are all the things I want to do, you take that to your board, you know, you can go ahead and you guys are probably already going to meet, I would imagine, before summer, because even though your term doesn't start till like next fall, well, no, it actually starts July 1. It just feels like it doesn't start until the fall, but you don't want to wait until the fall and that crazy time when everyone's just getting back into the swing of things to get your act together. So I think like take whatever time you can now and over the summer to kind of start thinking about the messaging to your teachers and the pitch to your principal and the, you know, how you'll get families excited. And do you guys have social media? And, you know, will you send out emails? And, you know, what languages do you need content in? And really just trying to think through everything that you want to do and really set into motion and, you know, put dates on your calendar, you know, write down phone numbers of people you need to contact for things and kind of pace it out so it's not overwhelming. Again, that August, September, October timeframe is crazy, not just for us, but for our families and for our students. And so really anything we can do now to like advertise, promote, you know, maybe it's a summertime project that happens, like anything we can do now really kind of helps us when we get to that, you know, October deadline, whatever it is, if it's not the Saturday, the 15th for you. And then, yeah, if you can think about how it could culminate in something very cool, again, like an art wall or something in the cafeteria for everyone who participated with maybe a ribbon on the, you know, the winner and the runners up, just something that really makes it feel special. And even if you've had low numbers historically, there's nothing to say that you can re-envision all of this and think about how do we get teachers excited about doing this as a project, you know, even if it was like all written and all, you know, all in one category, I guess is what I should say. So I think just get creative and kind of get excited and really start like making it your own. Because I think that's what's really special. You know, it's sort of like through this art program, we have the opportunity to be kind of creative and artistic ourselves and to really lean into like the spirit of you know, this competition.
Absolutely. I mean, there's so many things that you can do, even just to get students to submit. I mean, you can host an art night, a reflections art night, and have them come out and you show them the theme and say, hey, whatever you want to do, let's do it. And they have that time to have a reflections think tank and put together what they want to do. If it's, you know, visual arts, if it's photography, you know, give them a chance to really get into the theme and know what these categories are all about. And the fact that there's little things that they can do. I mean, I'll be more than happy to share the little reflections video that we did for spring awards, just so that they can see, hey, these kids did X, Y, and Z last year. You can do the same thing, not the exact same thing, but you can do something as well, you know, but just get students excited about art. And I think linking that with the social emotional is even better. I mean, it can really be a great school event, a community event, and you'll probably have far more participation if, you know, you engage with families more. So I think that that's it. We have come to, wow, we got 1 minute to go. We did a good job.
Tanya, this is Cindy. I'm so sorry. Can I ask you, we had some students, I'm at the council level, so we had some submissions with schools who it seemed they bypassed their reflections chair and just submitted on their own,
Ooh.
kind of rogue. So
Oh my.
I know. So is there kind of an unspoken rule that you have to submit through your unit or through your school chair? That's kind of a obvious thing, right?
Well, yeah, I mean, it is, but the thing is, if you don't have a reflections chair, because I know that there are some schools that don't have one. So if they don't have a reflections chair, then there still needs to be a point person at the school for them to submit that work to. Otherwise, things kind of get lost in the shuffle, and heaven forbid if something happens to the artwork, the artist statement, or something like that, and then there's no one to go back and, hey, do you have a copy of this? So you definitely need to have a point person at every level, even if you don't have a dedicated reflections chair. It could be
Yeah.
director of programs. It could be, obviously you don't want to put any more pressure on your PTA president, but if they're willing to take it on, then, if they want to be the point person, that's fine as well. I definitely think it's advantageous to everyone to have a point person at the school and not go rogue, like you said.
Thank you.
And just
Thank
send
you
it
for
to anybody.
thank you for clarifying. Yeah, I lost several nights sleep over that one.
Oh no.
Because you
Rest
just
your
don't want
head.
anybody to get lost in the shuffle. Thank you, my dear. Thank you for this
Oh, you're
great
welcome.
presentation.
Thank you. Alrighty, everybody. Well, I believe we are done. I don't see any other questions in the chat. Thank you for joining us today. Have a wonderful day, a wonderful week. We're just getting started, and I hope that this was a bright spot in your day. Okay. So awesome. Thank you so much.